G'day YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Petrol. This episode we'll have a look at the type of bicycle you should be looking at. We'll also have a look at the tools you'll require to do your installation, as well as the prep work. Let's get into it. Okay, the bike. You're best off using a mountain bike, one without rear suspension, or you can also use a beach cruiser. But just beware, if you get a beach cruiser with back pedal brake, it will require some extra parts and some extra modifying to make it fit. And the things you should be looking for on a bike is a 28mm seat tube. Most bikes have a 28mm seat tube, but just double check because some of the modern bikes have oversized seat tubes which will make it more difficult to install your motor. If you find a bike with a matching 28mm down tube, then your motor will go pretty much straight in as is, but unfortunately most modern bikes have a large size down tube. So you will need to get an adapter. And then on some bikes that have extremely oversized down tubes, you might have to look at a slightly different method, either drilling through the tube or making your own type of mounts. Also, don't forget to check the amount of space you have in this cavity. If the top bar is too low, then you're not going to have enough space to easily mount all your engine parts. This still has the carburetor to go on, which will hit the top bar. And of course you want to make sure the bike is in good condition and that the brakes work well. And on the subject of brakes, I would highly recommend picking up one of these dual brake levers. You can attach both brake cables to the one lever and it will activate both of them off the one handle. This leaves your left hand free for just a clutch instead of trying to juggle between a clutch and a brake. Alright, onto gears, or more specifically your gear selectors. If you have the old thumb twist type, then you're right to go and everything will attach around these. If you have the grip shifters or the twist shifters, you may have to move these inwards towards the middle of the bar, or you may have to remove them and put them somewhere else, or get different type of shifters if they're in the way. And as far as if your bike has rapid fire, I haven't really played around with these yet because it is all in one unit with the brake lever. Okay, onto the tools required to do the prep work and the installation. The tools you'll need are a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver, a 10mm and 14mm socket, a 10mm and 14mm and 15mm wrench, a chain braking tool, some Allen keys, pliers, a sharp blade, something to measure with, some plumber's tape and double-sided tape. You'll also need blue Loctite, some sort of chain and cable lube, some pre-run oil, some high temperature grease, a file or moto tool, as well as a jerry can and 2-stroke oil. This first step I'll go through is optional depending on your mechanical skill. So first what you want to do is undo the head bolts of your motor. And check for any foreign particles. Once you've done that, put a drop or two of the pre-run oil or some of your 2-stroke oil on top of the piston. And then replace the head. Make sure you tighten in a cross pattern bit by bit. There's no need to go ape on them, you just want them nice and snug, as you'll be checking and tightening these through the break-in and running period of your bike. The clutch cover is next. Remove it. Just check for any foreign particles you see. Make sure the gaskets are lined up nicely. And there isn't a lot of grease on the teeth of this, I can see from here. Bit of red high temp grease. And replace the cover with Loctite. Remove the relay cover. Check inside is clean. And replace the cover with Loctite. Next, remove the drive gear cover. Use a file or moto tool to round the edges of the teeth. And use a spark plug, use this tool to turn it to get to the other side. Why we also put some oil on the piston, so when we turn the piston up and down to do this step, it's got some extra lubrication to help it. The carby. When we install the throttle cable, we'll have to remove the top and the slider anyway, so we don't have to worry about that right now. The one thing I like to do is this tap, take it out just by unscrewing it, and very carefully on the outside of the thread just put a drop of Loctite like that. Same with these two little screws that come out of the tap. Now that's all done, we'll check the bowl. Just remove the two screws pointing down. And it'll drop off. Just make sure there's nothing in there that can get in the way. Nothing around the float. And nothing in there. When you're happy with that, you'll simply reattach. And like everything, I'll drop a thread lock. Okay. And also just double check the bleeder on the bottom is nice and tight. Alright, now remove the air filter. And that's what you'll see. So make sure that the air filter's in nicely and there's nothing, once I take this off, that your choke works well and that you can't see any obstructions. If you're happy with that, put it back together. And there, done. Next we'll have a look at the throttle grip. So to do that, it comes as one piece, most of them attached. Just undo these two screws here. What we're going to do is just make sure there's no excess plastic around this groove. It could cause the cable to catch. Here's just a little. Just have a look in the hole there. It's where the throttle cable goes through. Just make sure there's no massive amounts of flashing. That looks good. Next we'll have a quick look at the cables. Here's the throttle. We're just going to make sure that it moves freely, there's no obstructions. And what we're going to do is just put a drop of oil on the cable. And same with the other one. Repeat. Oh, actually, they've got the springs attached to this one just to keep it safe, so you know where everything goes. I'm just going to check that. That's all moving free. Lastly, we're going to check all the areas of the bike that need to breathe, like the fuel tank. So to do that, just put your finger over the tap on the bottom and give it a good blow. Same with the fuel tap, make sure it's in the open position, which is straight up and down. Just same with the fuel filter. And also check the exhaust. Yeah, you get the idea. Alright, so I think that's about it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, found it informative. Next episode we're going to do the install on the bike, and in between there'll also be the bike unboxing. We're putting this on a new bike, so that'll be an upcoming episode. Look out for it, like, subscribe, take care. Yeah, let's not do that one.